The exclusive home of the Utah Mammoth is on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Paterka back for Yamamoto. He shoots and scores! Hello, Moto! Mammoth on the board. And Kyler Yamamoto stays sizzling hot. Ben with one hand on his stick. Ben centers, wrist shot. They score! And it's Matt Duchesne. 3-1. The Stars double their lead. And Duchesne now has goals in 4 straight games. JJ Paterka in front. Yamamoto scores! How hot is Kyler Yamamoto? Mammoth back within 1. 13-19 to go in the third. It's his 4th goal in 2 games. He's got both for the Mountain Blue tonight. And once again, it was JJ Paterka who set him up.
You're locked into JJ and Alex on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
All right, everybody, welcome back. JJ and Alex, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Alex Kirry, Jeremiah Jensen. We're going to kick things off here, of course, as we like to do with our Utah Mammoth insider, Cole Bagley, as we get things kicked off. Did we play his intro there? Is that what did we already do it? Oh, no, let's do it right now because Cole's got an intro, and frankly, he deserves it because he does a heck of a job covering the Mammoth, so let's do it.
It's time to talk hockey with the Utah Mammoth and NHL insider on KSLSports.com, Cole Bagley on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
All right, this portion of the show brought to you by the good folks at Trajan Wealth, TrajanWealth, Wealth.com, and also Cole Bagley coming on the program, brought to you by Hercules First Federal Credit Union, growing stronger together. Cole, what's going on, man? Couple of disappointing outcomes these last couple of games, especially the one against Carolina, the way that one historically melted down. But they get within 1 goal with 13 minutes plus left, and I thought maybe they're going to do this thing, but no magic left in that one. They seem to calm down a little bit throughout the rest of that game after a first period. They just seem to get scored on very quickly, don't they?
Yeah, first periods have been a problem, but I think especially in that game, and Coach, even admitted it, and several of the players, they didn't come out with any energy. They were not ready to go. They were sluggish. They looked tired, and Dallas is not a team. Not that any team in the NHL, not that you can come out like that against any team in the NHL, but especially against the Dallas Stars, one of the top 5 teams in the National Hockey League, a team that could end up winning the Stanley Cup. And, a star-studded lineup. They buried themselves, and, while they kind of came back a little bit, it was just too little too late.
Look, penalties happen. We get it in this game, but it feels like the penalties have been extra punitive for the Utah Mammoth. Are they penalized more than other teams in the league? I guess is part one of the question. And part two, how can this team do a better job of controlling that?
No, they're not penalized more than other teams in the league. I'm not exactly sure where they fall in terms of the NHL.
Let me get you a number here.
But, it's been a problem as of late. It's been a significant problem. They've taken a lot of penalties over the last couple weeks. They've given up a lot of goals on the PK. And, I asked Tourney about that earlier today, just pointing it out of, hey, this PK was top 3 in the league for a long time. And now in January, you guys are right around 70%. So, what's going on and how do you fix it? And how do you kind of, how do you take fewer penalties but still play physical? And so a lot of it just comes down to being aware. And he did point out that there's not really a consistency in terms of, we're just taking stick penalties, or we're just taking delay of game penalties, or it's kind of different types of penalties across the board. And, he's like, it's just kind of how an NHL season goes. There's certain points where you're taking a lot of penalties, and there's certain points where you're not taking a lot of penalties. And the same can be said about there's certain points when the PK is really good and the PK is not very good. Now, you can't say the same about the power play for Utah because it's just been atrocious all season. But, yeah, I think it's more of just they've just taken some bad penalties as of late, and they're talking about it, and they're trying to get it figured out because, when you take as many penalties as they have against the teams, the caliber of teams that they have, you're probably not going to win those hockey games.
12th in the league, by the way. 12th most penalty minutes across the league. But, yeah, it's not insane because they're
close to top third, though.
495 penalty minutes. But the Boston Bruins have 752 penalty minutes. Like, that's wild. I mean, that is crazy. And then you think about it and you're like, oh. But all the teams that are really, really good are all really low on the penalties, on the penalty minutes. So, I mean, not that that's a complete, like, straight line to success there. But, yeah, it always helps to be able to get your guys at even strength. And this team plays their best at even strength. And I know that sounds crazy, but like the reality is they're actually one of the best teams, if not, they were certainly the best team in all of January in 5-on-5 hockey. But obviously you get there to that point and you get in there and it's tough. I don't know how much these guys, they were going from winning and then you have these 2 losses in a row. What was the attitude of the team like after that loss against Dallas on Saturday?
I think just similar to the way that they played, just tired, a little sluggish, but they understood that they didn't play well. Everybody took accountability for it. Coach talked about pretty much, he dissected every kind of piece of the game, and they're not defeated, which they shouldn't be. But I think these last 2 losses sting because, look, the NHL is a league that you cannot let your guard down, right? I mean, Utah played spectacular hockey in January. All of a sudden they lose 2 games in a row and they fall out of a wild card spot.
Right.
If they would have beaten Carolina, if they would have just taken care of business over those last 2 minutes, they would still have, a 2-point advantage in the standings with an opportunity to go up 4. But now they're on the outside looking in and they need to pick up 2 points tonight to even just get back into a wild card spot. So, they're just trying to stay even keeled right now. That's been a pretty big theme from just about every player you ask. It seems to come out of everybody's mouth, even keeled. Just trying not too high, not too low. And I think that's kind of right where they're at. I mean, and the positive thing is, look, they're up. They've progressed to where they were at this point last season, right? I think they're somewhere between 7 to 10 points ahead of where they were. They're right where they want to be in terms of competing for a wild card spot. Obviously, everybody always wants to be better, to be further ahead, but they can't be too upset with themselves. But tonight is definitely a get right game. The Vancouver Canucks are the worst team in the National Hockey League. They're actively tanking. You got to take care of business and get back in the win column tonight.
There's no doubt about that. And there are some great positive things happening with this team. In January was amazing, but one of those stories is Kyler Yamamoto. For somebody who was on the fringe to come out and score 2 goals in a game and back-to-back against 2 really good teams. I mean, this is Carolina and Dallas both could possibly be raising the cup at the end of the year. Where did this kid come from, and what is he doing right now that's allowed him to play at this high of a level in the month of January?
Yeah, I mean, I think people forget that he's a former first-round draft pick. He's taken 22nd overall, I think in 2017, 2018, right around that range. So he's a good player. Incredible hockey IQ, really good hands. He just puts himself in the right positions all the time, whether that's in front of the net, whether that's in the slot, whether that's battling in the dirty areas. And he plays much bigger than he is. He's one of the shorter guys, obviously, on the team, and one of the shortest guys in the NHL. But and I think that's why a lot of people have kind of looked past him. They look at his size and just go, "Oh, he can't be that effective." Well, he is. And Utah has kind of learned that over the last few weeks. He sat for I think he was out about eight games or so. Then he comes back and he goes on a tear. They put him on the 4th line, and they put him on the top line. They put him on the 2nd line. He's everywhere. And that's because he has a very complimentary game. He knows how to play with everybody else. I asked Clayton Keller about this even after the loss in Carolina, and he says that, look, he's one of the highest hockey IQs that he's ever been around, and they're really lucky to have him on the team. So, and when I asked Yamamoto the other night about what he's proving right now, he says I'm proving that I can belong. I'm proving that I can play with these guys and I can be impactful, and he's right. And so, it's an interesting journey. He's a former first-round pick, so the skill is there, but I think, his lack of size, definitely hindered him in terms of staying in lineups. He kind of bounced around the league for a while. He was in Edmonton, and then he was in Seattle, and then he was put on a tryout with Utah. He didn't even sign a contract last year until after a tryout. So it's one of the feel-good stories. A guy that has just, I think, been overlooked for a long time, and, he's proving that he can still play with the big boys.
Speaking of playing with the big boys, these guys have been playing some high-level hockey, and I don't think it takes away. These last two losses, obviously, JJ was pointing it out, like there's just no room for error because they were suddenly going from that first wild card team to now out of the wild card even. It's just such a brutal conference, and so they get these 2 wins possibly before the break here. And then, obviously, the fingers crossed moment of good news to possibly get Logan Cooley back after the break. Have you heard anything about his status and where he's at, and what a likelihood of him rolling out right after the Olympics is going to happen?
Yeah, Bear said that he's making progress. They're really pleased with where he's at. Of course, they haven't given a expected, date of return. But if you kind of read in between the lines, I would anticipate that we see Cooley right after the Olympic break. He's continued to take steps every single day. Last week he came out for morning skate, but he just did personal drills. He didn't participate in any team drills. And then yesterday he did a pre-workout with the guys before they did morning skate. And then today he was in a non-contact sweater, but he did participate in some drills during morning skate. So it's these small baby steps, but they all point in the right direction. I would anticipate, like I said, when you look at it, Utah has performed so well over the last 3-4 weeks that there's no reason to rush him back. I think if they would have started bleeding points and started quickly falling, there may have been an excuse to maybe rush him a little bit. He's at 90% and we've got 5 games left till the break. Let's get him back because we've really got to pick up points. Instead, they continued to kind of take the league by storm. They stole some points from some really good teams. They, won a lot of hockey games. They had points in 9 straight and won 7, almost 7 in a row. So, I don't think there's any reason to think that he'll be back. I mean, he's obviously not playing tonight. I wouldn't anticipate that all of a sudden he'll jump into the lineup on Wednesday. So I would, circle that last week of February, beginning of March for when, I would anticipate we'll see Cooley back.
Yeah, Utah should win tonight. As you mentioned earlier, the Canucks are the worst team in the league, but what are some of the things that the Canucks could do to cause them problems and possibly spoil the night for the Mammoth?
Yeah, I mean, they're still a pretty good, team, in terms of technicalities, in terms of moving the puck. They've got some decent young players, and then they've got one of the a strong veteran in Elias Pettersson. When he's hot, he can be really dangerous. That's a guy that, out of nowhere, he can put 2 or 3 in the back of the net. So, for Utah, it's just taking care of business. It's playing their game. I was part of conversations this last week where guys like Jersey and Sergachev and Keller are saying, look, we've kind of figured out what our identity is. We know who we are as a team. And when we play that way, we're confident that we can beat anybody in the league. And if we play our game the right way, we will beat anybody in the league. So, Vancouver's still just kind of an injured animal. They've committed to the tank. They're 2-7-1 in their last 10. I think they lost like 9 or 10 in a row in January or maybe in December after they, traded away their captain Hughes. So, it's still the National Hockey League. On any given night, anybody can beat anybody. So no win is easy. And Utah will definitely need to bring their A game tonight to make sure they get back in the win column.
You mentioned they're committed to the tank. I'm curious, why would they be committed to the tank this year? Is there a prospect out there at number 1 that they have their eye on, or that everybody? I'm not hearing about that, but you know all the prospects and how that goes. Why are they so committed to the tank?
Gavin McKenna. Okay,
there you go.
He's the anticipated, number 1 overall pick. He's playing college hockey right now for Penn State. Lighting it up over there out in the East. He was pretty darn good for Team Canada at the World Juniors, and I don't know that this kid's a generational talent necessarily.
Yeah, I guess my question would be, is he worth the tank?
When you're Vancouver and you have not been able to figure out any direction for a long, long time, and you've traded away all your best players, which is what they've done recently. I mean, he's a kid that it's definitely worth tanking for to try to get the number one overall pick. I mean, his upside is really, really high. I don't know that he's going to be a Macklin Celebrini or a Connor Bedard player. Maybe a tier down from that. He has a lot of maturing to do, and I think he needs to add quite a bit of weight before he gets to the league. But yeah, he's definitely worth it. If you're Vancouver, he's definitely worth tanking to try to draft.
Interesting year this year. Obviously, the trade deadline in the NHL gets frozen for those 3 weeks that the Olympics are going, and so the trade deadline is going to be March 6th this year. We're still new to this and trying to figure it out because it feels like the NHL is very different from the other leagues when it comes to trades and things like that. But there are very good players out there, and do you look at that and say, okay, with the cap space, with this team playing as well as they did last month and trying to make that push to be a wild card team this year, is that attractive enough for Bill Armstrong to say we're going to go out there and get aggressive during this trade deadline or right before this trade deadline?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think what I've learned in covering this team and just making observations about Bill Armstrong is that he could jump in at any moment. I don't know that there's really a player or a trade that he wouldn't consider. And he said publicly before, look, we look at everything. If there's a player out there, if there's a situation out there that can help improve our team, we're always looking. We're always open to discussion. But on the flip side of that, kind of the message that I've received is Utah's not looking for rentals right now. They're not a team that would jump into the Nazem Kadri sweepstakes or Panarin out of New York, because those are two players that just don't match the timeline, right? I mean, Bill has said on the record many times, we're trying to stick to a specific timeline. That's why they added JJ Peterka. That's why they added Mikhail Sergachev. They're looking for players in a fairly specific age grouping, and a lot of the guys that are available, a lot of the top players that are kind of on the trade block right now, they're all 30 plus, and some of them, even Panarin and Kadri, I think those guys are 32 plus. I'm pretty sure Panarin is 34. And so for Utah, it doesn't make sense to waste assets to burn a first round pick or a second round pick and a decent prospect to go and get a rental, because those types of players should be going to contenders. A Panarin should go to a Florida Panthers or to a Vegas Golden Knights or to an Edmonton Oilers. Same with Kadri. Maybe he goes back to Colorado. Like, teams that think that they're close and by adding one of those rentals, could get you, into the final or winning the cup. And for Utah, that's just not the goal right now. The goal is to get to the playoffs and to gain experience. But based off the way that they're playing right now, I don't know that they necessarily need to add a whole lot more. Yeah, there's certain areas, a backup, another backup goaltender wouldn't be a bad idea. Some more depth in terms of their forwards, but they're going to get Alexander Kerfoot back. They're going to get Logan Cooley back. And one just kind of final thing to add, I think a good mindset for fans to remember is this team is in a scenario where they're trying to buy time, right? They've got TJ Ginla and Cole Baudouin and Caleb Denoyer and Dmitry Simashev and Maverick Lamoureux all in either the juniors or the minors. And those guys are going to be primary pieces of the Mammoth when they start to make their cup runs. And so, like I said, Bill could make a trade tomorrow. It wouldn't shock me. He could, try to enter some of these sweepstakes. But at the end of the day, I think overall what they're trying to do right now is just to buy time for their young players.
Cole Bagley, you can see his byline, of course, and also get the notifications set up for you to be able to get the hat trick that ends up coming down after every game, and it gives you the breakdown of how this team is doing and what that game looked like, and Cole does a phenomenal job. Cole, we appreciate you always dipping in with us here on the program and educating us still on hockey as we keep every week. We're just like we try to learn something new, and we appreciate you always being patient with us. But yeah, 6:30 is going to be the pregame, and then the 7:30 puck drop against the Vancouver Canucks across the street. Cole, we appreciate it, man.
Well, huge compliments to you guys, and I mean it. The conversations about hockey are night and day better from last season. So.
Look at that.
Oh, good. We don't suck anymore.
That much.
Appreciate that.
He didn't say we're good. He goes, last year was really bad.
Hey, we suck less. I'll take that.
We suck less. There you go. Cole, we appreciate it.
No. You're good.
I got you. We're watching a lot of hockey, man. Like, we are trying to dive in. It's a lot. So it helps that my boys are so into
breaking down number one pick prospects.
I know.
Look at us.
It's
Look
all
at
good.
us.
It's all good.
I think you guys could potentially hold your own if you ended up in Canada and someone started talking hockey with you. That's a big compliment.
That's the goal.
Let's talk about the Flames, y'all. I'd rather talk about the Mammoth. Just like, let's stick to the Mammoth. And they're like, what? All right. Cole, have a good one. We'll be reading up tonight on how this one goes.
All right. We'll see you guys.
There you go. Cole Bagley. Yeah. We've got a lot of people that are.
It's a good jolt to my self-esteem.
Yeah, but you know what? Like, I have
I'm not a hockey idiot.
No. But listen, I have a lot of people who tell me that very thing. They're like, you and JJ are like asking hockey questions now. Like, you guys know,
it's our job.
Well, not just that. Like, I'm into it, man.
Yeah.
I like it. So
love it.
It's a lot of fun.
We're NHL. We're an NHL market.
Yeah, we are.
We've arrived.
I don't have to prove ourselves to anybody. Still to Cole a little bit though, but yeah. Anyway, it's still nerve-wracking whenever we get Coach on too. I'm like, yeah, did you guys have a good game last night? Yeah. You guys won. That was good, right? All right. We'll take a break. We'll come back around the corner. Guess what we have staring at us? It is it's that time of the week for us to be able, or that time of the day to get you that Jazz Daily. We'll talk about this Utah Jazz team. A loss in Toronto yesterday. They've got almost a gimme tomorrow at a team that's tanking harder than anybody in the whole dang league, maybe. The Indiana Pacers.
Oh, man.
Down in Indianapolis.
Someone's got to lose that game.
So I've already got an injury update on the status of Keontae George and Nurk for that game tomorrow in Indy. So we'll take that break. We'll come back. More to go. 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone.
You know what's coming. Your daily deep dive into everything Utah Jazz. It's time. All season long and even in the off season. It's Jazz Daily with JJ and Alex on your exclusive home of Utah Jazz basketball. 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone.
All right, everybody, welcome back. JJ and Alex, 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone. Hey, this weekend's the big game. Hey, I get to say it this one. How about a brand new TV for you to be able to watch the big game from? 75-inch smart TV, KSL Sports Zone is giving it away, and they want to put you front and center every unforgettable moment of the big game. Plus, you don't even have to give it back after the big game. That was one of my college roommates' moves, by the way.
Oh, yeah. Go to Costco, get the TV, and take it back?
Enter to win. You don't have to do that, okay? You don't need to do that. We do not condone it. Grow up. Enter to win at KSLSports.com/contests. And here's how this thing works. We're going to be giving out some keywords. You can enter right there at our webpage, but you can also listen all week long for the keywords to be announced during each program. More entries you have, the better your chances are to win. So the countdown is on. Opening ceremony for the multi-international games.
The multi-international games?
I just assume we can't say Olympics. I feel like we get in trouble for saying that.
No, I would say that's stupid, but then like, well,
they might be the meanest when it comes down to it.
How about we just call it the games?
The games and the big game, all firing up this week.
There's games going on this week, and they're all on KSL and NBC.
Don't worry, because we got you hooked up. You can win that 75-inch smart TV, courtesy of KSL Sports.
By the way, with the TV, the hardest part about that is getting it back in the box.
Oh, the giving it back part. I never understood it because I was always like, dude.
How do you get that thing back in there the way it's supposed to go?
I don't know.
The styrofoam and
I don't know. And TVs are.
You really have to be dedicated to your craft in order to pull that off.
TVs are, like, they've gotten to the point now. Like, when I was in college, though, and you wanted to get a flat screen, like, an LCD TV, there's no such thing. It was like, yeah, that's $2,800.
You can get a 55-inch 4K TV right
for
now
$2
for like $150.
Yeah. Oh, really? Oof.
Oh, yeah.
Well, the 75-inch smart TV is not going to be that, so you'll get a better one. Promise. All right? Jazz Daily, Larry Markkinen. No Keontae George last night, and not going to be Keontae George tomorrow in Indianapolis for the Indiana Pacers versus Jazz game. You're also not going to get Nurk. He's going to be resting. So that's an early couple of outs for you on this Jazz team tomorrow, who are going to be facing off against a really bad, hoping to be bad, Indiana Pacers team. Think about that team in the NBA Finals going to Game 7 last year.
It's crazy.
And then Tyrese Halliburton's Achilles pops. And then they go, we'll see you in 2027, everybody.
That's essentially what they're doing.
Oh.
By the way, Pascal Siakam still made the All-Star team.
I know.
Good for him.
So you got no Clippers on the team.
No.
Pascal Siakam's on the team.
The difference between the East and the West.
There you go. So Lowry looks like he probably is going to play tomorrow. Don't know yet, but Keontae's off. Yeah. The ankle, the rolled ankle, whatever that was. I saw a video of it, and I was like, maybe. But the thing is it could be a couple weeks, could be a couple games, could be day to day. I think they're listing him at day to day, but he's already out for tomorrow. So, but Toronto's a decent team, and this team put up quite a fight yesterday. We heard Cody Williams on the intro here. 24 turnovers is never going to get it done, and that's a game that, interestingly enough, like Toronto. They didn't play a particularly good game against this Jazz team. It was like they were just taking the night off a little bit, but the Jazz kept it interesting the entire way. There wasn't some massive comeback that they had to have. They just came up a little bit short, and that was a problem. And Keontae George not being there last night. Nice fill-in by Isaiah Collier. He's stepped up in so many different moments this year, and I think getting lost in a lot of the other guys' development is a guy like Isaiah Collier who was making strides last year, and I think continues to this year. We just don't talk about him as much because you have Ace Bailey on this team. You have Cody Williams is starting to make a little bit of a push, but obviously Keontae George is stealing a lot of the headlines because he's gotten so good this year.
Yeah, Isaiah Collier has not obviously had the rise of a Keontae George, but you're seeing a lot of improvement with his game. You can understand why he was such a sought-after prospect and why many thought he would be a number 1 overall pick. It's because the dude's a bulldog. Like, he can score and he can attack the rim. He gets downhill. Really good two-way player. I think he defends really well when he's locked in. And he distributes the ball really well. He's an excellent passer. He sets guys up. He made things happen yesterday. 19 points, 4 rebounds, 7 assists, 2 steals, had a block as well. Like, that's a good stat line. Isaiah Collier's doing some really good things. When he's been given the opportunity, he's certainly produced some pretty good statistics. Where does he fit in with the Jazz long term? I think we've obviously identified Keontae George as the point guard of the future. What does Isaiah Collier want his NBA future to be? Does he want to be a starting point guard in the NBA? Well, if he's going to be here with the Utah Jazz long term, that might be tough. So a decision is going to have to be made down the road one way or the other. But for right now, you're looking at Isaiah Collier's development. You're watching how he's coming along as a point guard in this league, and there's a lot to like about it. There's been moments where he's still going to get criticized for the shooting. He was 5 of 8 yesterday, but he's not out there He was 1 of 3 from 3. He hit a big 3 in that game. He had a nice 3 that really impacted the game. So I don't think you have to be like this amazing, sniper to be able to survive in the NBA. You got to have an NBA skill, and there are a lot of NBA skills that Isaiah Collier has. I mentioned getting downhill. Like, he's a tough guard. If your opposing point guard has to guard him, that's going to be a long night because he gets downhill fast. He is big and strong and physical. And on the other end, he can make life difficult for you. He's a good two-way player, in my opinion. And I think that's going to continue to develop, and I think that's going to be one of the strengths that he has moving forward. Does he ever get to the point where he's an all-star level point guard? I have no idea. I don't know. That's tough to do. We saw how hard it is to make an all-star team. When Lowry Markkanen and Keontae George not only are snub, but they're down the snub list. They're on the back end of the snub list. So it's not easy to make an all-star team. It's not easy to be the best in the league. So your expectations for some of these guys, you need to look at what is a realistic expectation for Isaiah Collier. Well, he's a late first-round pick. It's not a guy who was taken number 1 overall. You're already seeing great value where he was selected in the draft. So as a Utah Jazz fan, you got to be really excited about his development.
Indiana, of course, has taken a massive step backward this year and have gone full tank. We already knew it was going to happen. I mean, it's almost as soon as that injury happened, you went, this season's over and next season's probably over.
They're pulling the San Antonio Spurs right now, and I don't blame them.
Oh, look, the 76ers are playing that game too, and it's hard when you have like the Nets, the 76ers, the Pacers, and the Jazz are firmly planted inside of not having to convey that pick.
They're in the group, though. I mean, it's pretty obvious. They want that pick to stay in Utah, and that's absolutely the right thing to do.
Not a bad draft to do it. I mean,
the most important draft to do it.
You think about how good the talent is this year. I saw some doofus the other day saying that Cooper Flagg would have gone 6th or 7th in this draft. Do you believe any of that stuff?
You could say maybe 3rd.
Do you think he would have been behind an A.J. DeBonce?
I don't know. I don't know what Cooper Flagg would have been like. It's crazy and insane that he would have been a part of this class. That's wild. I mean, you're looking at what Cooper Flagg is doing in the NBA right now, and how strong he is and what he's able to do, his skill set. Would A.J. DeBonce and Darren Peterson be better draft prospects right now than Cooper Flagg? I have a hard time seeing that, but there's scouts around the league who believe that. Now, Cam Boozer, would Cam Boozer go ahead of him? Would they be college teammates right now?
Oh,
that's insane to think that Duke could have Cooper Flagg and Cam Boozer right now. It's really interesting that Cooper Flagg reclassified and all that. That's fascinating. I don't know. You're seeing what Cooper Flagg is in the NBA, and it's pretty nice. You can see he's on his way to becoming a future All-Star. So I don't know. That's a great question of where he would be. And 5 years from now, it's going to be fascinating to look back on these 2 draft classes, which we're having 2 back-to-back draft classes that are elite. How many stars? What's the future of the game look like based on these 2 drafts? How many of the players in the 2024 and 2025, and maybe let's go back to the Wembanyama, Keontae George draft. Let's include that grouping. How many future All-Stars are in those 3 drafts?
Yeah.
I bet it would blow our minds. In 5 years, we're going to look back and be, wow, what an influx of elite talent.
The Kings right now are officially the owners of the worst record in the league at 12-39. They've lost 9 in a row. Pelicans are also a 13-win team. The East has 3 13-win teams. The funny thing is the Pacers have won 2 in a row. They're actually 5-5 in their last 10. So their last 10, so they were 8.
They lost the plot.
Yeah, hey, you guys get back on track. Come on now.
Like the Kings are doing it right. They've lost 9 of 10. The Jazz have lost 9 of 10.
They've lost 6 in a row too.
Yeah.
So they're on a reverse heater.
The Grizzlies are joining the club. They've lost 6 in a row and 8 of 10.
It's not good. So, all right. And the Bucks have suddenly lost 5 in a row. Like they are.
Isn't that crazy?
They're already.
And Giannis is done basically.
I know. They're just like, look, let's tank right now. We can tank right now.
It shows you how fast a window can close in the NBA.
Yeah.
It's wild. The Bucks are going to be rebuilding for the next decade.
On the flip side, how about the freaking Pistons? Like still just like
that's the model.
36-12.
The Thunder is probably not realistic, but I think the Pistons model is a more realistic blueprint on how to rebuild in the NBA right now. They've done a great job.
Let's take a break. We'll come back. We've got your best and worst, and then we'll get into the next hour. And I think we've got a hockey pregame coming up at 6:30, and then you've got yourself the hockey pregame at 6:30. Puck drops at 7:30. So you keep it dialed in here. You'll be entertained the rest of the night. So stay with us. 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone.
Wrapping up the hour with our picks for the best and worst moments on today's show. As JJ and Alex want to hear your best and worst of the day.
All right, everyone. Welcome back. Thanks for being a part of the program today. JJ and Alex, 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone. If you missed any portion of the show, you can always go back, download full hours of the program or individual segments, all of it available for you right there, KSLSports.com. Just click the podcast button right there, or just subscribe wherever you find podcasts. You can also dip in online by streaming it on our station, or not just over the air, but you can also get it on our website there, KSLSports.com as well. Just hit that streaming live button, and of course, we're also streaming live via video on our YouTube page, KSL Sports. So there you go. Best and worst here. I know that we already listened to this, and yet it still makes me nervous just because we all listened to it and we all loved it and we're like, gotta have that audio. But Jason Kidd went off after this weekend's loss, and he was not happy. You know, you lose to the Charlotte Hornets, but you deliver 49 points, you still are going to get criticized. Like that was what the case was. And not only is he getting criticized, Cooper Flagg, that is, or, whomever. Jason Kidd's getting criticized as the head coach. They're like, you're kind of using this guy differently. A lot of people going at him for having him start at point guard. Here's what the head coach and future Hall of Famer Jason Kidd had to say afterward to the media who asked him the question about Cooper Flagg.
Coach, you get a lot of national criticism for playing Flagg at point guard. But over the last 2 games,
I don't give a criticism. That's your opinion. You guys write that. That's not that. I've done this. I played this game. I played it at a very high level, and I know. But I don't give a you guys right, because you guys have never played the game, and so I've built players. So I know what the doing. So to take criticism, it only makes me better. Because if I wasn't doing it right, you guys wouldn't be poking holes at what I've done. That's it. Thanks.
Grumpy.
Quick follow-up. Yeah, no thanks. Well, quick follow-up to that. And he's like, I'll see you guys later. I think I said what I said. I think tonight's fine. He got fined for going after the referees over the weekend. Can't do that.
I was really curious to see what the next question was going to be. Kind of disappointed we didn't get it here.
Coach, what's your favorite road trip? What's like fun for you guys? That guy is not having fun, by the way.
Coach, did Cooper Flagg get snubbed from the All-Star game?
It would have been something along those lines. Yeah, listen, Jason Kidd has been through it, man. Do you remember when he first started coaching? Everybody's like, he does not have it.
Yeah, and he had some failures.
He did. And you know what he did? Got way, way better, won himself a title. And now he's a guy who's looked at as, By the way, the stuff that's landed in his lap over the past 365 days, because I think they were just celebrating the 1-year anniversary of the weirdest trade in the history of the NBA. Maybe in all of pro sports, right? Where were you a year ago when we got the news that Luka Doncic was being traded to the Lakers, and we all looked at each other and went, "Blah? Is it today?" Yeah, look at us. See, I knew it was close. 365 days from right now is when that trade went down. And you know what? Think about that. You remember the 1,000-yard stare that Jason Kidd had? He was like, and they're like, "Hey, what do you think?" He's like, "This looks like, hey, it is what it is. This is the game we play." Staring into the abyss and just wishing he had Luka Doncic back. And even after they get Cooper Flagg, fire their GM because it was still one of the worst things ever. So there you go. By the way, they fined Jason Kidd for ripping the refs and cussing out all the folks. But did you see over the weekend our second favorite story, which was Tuskegee's basketball head coach, Benji Taylor, who was let off the court in handcuffs.
Wild.
We saw that exchange, and it was one of the more interesting things. I hope somebody gets in trouble for that. So, all right, Mammoth versus Vancouver Canucks tonight. What are your thoughts before we get into this break here?
It's weird to say a must-win in February in a game like this, but if they can't lose games like this at home,
all right,
you have to completely dominate a bad team, the worst team in the league at home tonight if you want to stay in the race.
All right, that's all coming up next. 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone.